All right. In the meantime, we will get back to that story shortly. But then the other leg of the program today, Nigeria will not be submitting a film for the International Feature Film category at the 2026 Academy Awards. The Nigerian Official Selection Committee says none of the 6 films considered met the creative and technical standards required for global competition. The committee's chairperson, Stephanie Linus, cited a lack of creative and technical intentionality as the main reason, despite acknowledging progress in the country's film industry. And that's what we want to be talking about now. Let's bring in our guest at this time to help us to better understand what the committee has in mind. Mr. Ohai, we thank you very much for joining us at this time. Thank you very much for your time with us. But what do you make of this decision by the committee, by the screening committee?
Okay, just as a form of disclaimer, I'll be speaking in my personal capacity. I'm not speaking on behalf of the committee. The thing is that the Oscars, as you know, is like, I mean, for us in the movie industry, it's like going to the World Cup. The way Eagles will go for the World Cup, and so your nation presents like his best foot forward. But of course, best foot forward implies only the films that were submitted. Oh, nobody is going to say, bring your film. You would have to consider it worthy enough, submit it for consideration. In this case, there were 6 films that were submitted for consideration. And are they necessarily the best films produced in Nigeria throughout this year? Not necessarily, but because there are certain criteria that must be met. Among these criteria, chief among them, the number one, is that it must be substantially in a language other than English, you know? So, and a language other than English, fortunately now, Pidgin English has been, considered as a language other than English now. So which means that it can be Pidgin English, Yoruba, Hausa, Idoma, Tiv, or as the case may be, any language whatsoever. So it has to be at least 50% of that. That's first. Then, of course, there are the technical, because even if we do say this film qualifies, it goes through a technical process. We have no control over that. And in our experience in the years before now, you just find that several times you attempt to upload, it keeps rejecting. And the reason is because a lot of our filmmakers would have finished making a film and then decide, oh, okay, I think this will go. Someone says, yeah, why don't you put it in for the Oscars? There's a need to be more intentional, but let me just mention here, the films that were submitted this year were actually great films. They were good, very good. I have to be honest with you about that. The standards obviously are higher, but remember that the world is also not sleeping. They're not waiting for us. Every country is up in this game. And so the competition is getting even higher than before. So the challenge is meeting both, challenges in terms of creativity, storytelling, the technicalities, and then the language requirements, amongst other things.
Well, let's begin with your assessment or the points that you just broke down, talking about the kind of storytelling that will fit into the international standards expected of an awards like the Oscars. So kindly share your thoughts with us as to what kind of storytelling would be exceptional.
I don't want to use the word exceptional, but one thing you have to know is that film itself is a language. And if you recall when Indian films and Chinese films were quite a staple in Nigeria, at the time, we didn't really understand the language, but we kind of followed it because it was something that we could relate to. So one of the important things to note about storytelling is that it has to have a universal appeal. There are certain themes that cut across, that would appeal to anybody in any language. And one of my favorite examples, I want to say this, not to do with regular filmmaking, is that if you look at Angel, this is according to statistics by YouTube, Google in Nigeria, their biggest market is not even in Nigeria, it's in Southeast Asia. And you want to wonder, do those people understand Pidgin English? How? How do they? But perhaps it's in the way he tells a story that is relatable, that people can relate to, in as far away as Southeast Asia, and where he has his biggest, fans. So the thing about storytelling is the kind of stories that you tell are not stories that only your people can enjoy, that only your people can relate to. If you do that, then you may as well just leave it and then put it in local context here. But remember, the people who are going to judge these films are from different cultures. They don't know anything about your culture. It's fine. You can project your culture, but the theme itself must be such that it's relatable. It can strike a responsive chord in the audience. Their emotions can be awakened, and it can do something within them. So in telling stories, and stories have to have some sort of universal appeal. And there are certain formula, things that have been proven over and over and over again over the years that resonate regardless of where you come from and regardless of who you are.
And do you also feel that, Nigerian filmmakers, or could it be a problem or could it be an issue of us needing to plunge deeper into the terrain? Because you just spoke about the Bollywood output. Now, when you look at the diverse film subjects, that we see as against the former or the old style of Bollywood associated with romance, with love, and the likes. But now we are seeing such a wide array of themes in Bollywood, for example. Do you think that is another area that Nigeria may also need to think about?
Okay, let's look at K-pops, for instance, from Korea. I'm really surprised that a lot of Nigerians, even the Gen Zs, a lot of them are so immersed in K-pops. I mean, I say K-pops, K-movies. K-pops is a musical side. They're movies. A lot of Nigerians, they don't understand Korea. And I do know quite a few that already speak Korean just by watching K-movies. So the thing is this, there are movies that can appeal for commercial reasons. You do the action, push out, a lot of actions, shoot them up and all of that, fine. But, the kind of those things are okay. But if you check very well, I don't know how many of such movies have ever won the Oscars. I'm not saying that they don't. Please don't get me wrong. So it has to storytelling goes deeper than that. You have to touch at the core of your audience. You have to be able to tell something, that a story that a member of the Oscars, from Japan, he doesn't need to speak English. If he's a member, he'll be able to, a voting member, he'll be able to relate to it. If he's from Iran, he doesn't even have to speak English. He'll be able to relate to it. He just looks at a good piece of film. Just by watching it, he can relate to it, and it does something to him. And at the end of the day, when these things come out, you tend to understand. I mean, not necessarily in every case, but lots of times you tend to understand and see why these films have been selected.
Right. And okay, so I know you've already issued a disclaimer that while being a member of the Nigeria Official Selection Committee, you're speaking in your personal capacity and not as a member. But the committee has also spoken about being or acknowledging the progress that Nigerian filmmakers have made. So and has said, the committee has also gone on to say that it's also going to perhaps look for ways to engage with filmmakers so that they can, think about, what the international market wants moving forward. So how do you expect, or how do you envision that this is going to work out in the future, especially where future editions of the Oscars are concerned?
No, that I can speak to. And the thing is this, it is important that, and I guess that's a responsibility on our part as well, to ensure that people truly understand what goes into it. Because, I mean, I remember a conversation that I had just a couple of days ago, and somebody was talking about the movie that won the last Oscars, having said that, it was done with a budget of 6 million. And then it was promoted with about 18 million. And it was saying, can you imagine a film done with a budget of 6 million? And I said, no, the budget was not 6 million. They were prepared. The budget was 6 million plus 18 million plus, plus, plus. It means that they were ready to go the whole hog. They were ready. They did, not just that they did a good film, but from the budgeting ab initio, they were prepared for the Oscars. You know, they knew they needed, they had the P&A budget, the publicity and advertising budget was huge, marketing and all of that. So it's a whole gamut. It's the chain is quite long. It's not something you just wake up and you say, okay, I think I have some, let me just do it, throw it in there, perhaps I can be lucky. There's no element of luck in it. You have to be very intentional from the very beginning in your casting, in your language, in your scripting, in your partnerships as well. And if you notice, a couple of films that have, succeeded in Africa here have been like co-productions. The thing is, and I'm going to be very brutal here, many of our filmmakers, if you give a filmmaker here 20 million naira, dollars to make a movie, well, not necessarily everyone, so let me just put that caveat from the beginning. But, you'll find some who might just decide that, look, let me use part of it to go and do real estate and go and do some other thing. You're not being smart. You have to put it into the movie. These people giving money are not stupid. They can see the quality on the screen, So when you see people who are intentional, who have made an effort to do something, you cannot be comparing yourself with them or competing with them. And let me throw more light on that. Now, why I think that our best bet, although you have not asked me that question, but our best chance at making the Oscars might be a co-production. Because what will happen with a co-production is that you are probably working.
So Dr. Ohai, I just wanted, to chip this in because we've run out of time. Of course, if you ask the average filmmaker, there's always, this talk about we need investment in the industry, especially from government and other, institutions. To what extent do you agree with them?
We do. Obviously, the industry needs injection of funds because up until now, it's been just us doing what we're doing. But beyond that, I think we need the areas of investment should be in the area of infrastructure and distribution because there's a lot of, let me just as about an example, it's a factory. So much is happening there. Lagos, Enugu, so many, and in Kano and all that. So many films are being made. But, it's like a funnel. But except in this case, you're taking so much, but the outlet is very limited. So we need to invest more in infrastructure and our distribution, and so it will then help us so that, and then because then it means that when you make a film, the return on investment is even better. And then when you get better return on investment, investors take more interest, and then more people want to produce films and better films.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Victor Ohai, for speaking with us on The World Now.
Thank you for having me.
Right. And that's it on the program today. From all of us here, thanks a lot for watching. Bye now.